testing North Korea's illegal smartphones. I'm gonna be real, I didn't even know they had smartphones. I thought like, damn, Kim, letting them get too luxurious. I don't know, man. Yo, imagine he sees this clip and then he's just like, you know what, this dude's right. Let me go ahead and take their phones. But then again, yeah, he's trying to make his citizens, you know, make North Korea seem like the best place on earth. Like nothing comes close to it. And you know, all of us folks in Western countries and, you know, in America, we're just living in olden times, like the 1600s. I genuinely want to see like a North Korean history book, like how it looks for them. Somebody probably snuck one out and like I can see it. The thought of people like potentially going on their North Korean smartphone and then playing like Subway Surfers or Angry Birds is so funny to me. I wonder when they got smartphones. It was probably only like 5 years ago or something for real. Maybe this year. And like I wonder, does it even have service? It's probably like government phone service, I'm assuming, but like actually no, it can't even have service because if it has service then they can contact people out the country and then like they're cooked. Anyways, let's go ahead and see this.
These are two extremely rare phones from North Korea, and it's kind of insane that I'm even holding them. The North Korean population is so cut off from the outside world that it's almost impossible.
I was gonna say, I wonder how he snuck it out. I don't know, maybe it came straight out of the factory because I know for a fact they do not make that there. They probably make it in China, like a specific version for it, you know, just like how around the world they make specific versions of things for certain countries.
To even get a text message out, let alone two fully functional smuggled phones that show us.
Oh my god, they have their own Google Maps. Wait, is it only North Korea? Nah, they literally don't have the rest of the world. Or they might have Russia, maybe. Imagine the US just has like a fucking devil horn on it. It just has a piece of shit on it.
Crystal clear detail what it's actually like to be a North Korean citizen. So this is the Heian 701. It's one of the country's budget phones. Just to give you an idea of how little is known about this stuff, you can Google the phone's name and nothing will come up. Absolutely zero. And then the second is the Samtaesung 8, which is a flagship.
Samtaesung. Gee, I wonder what they based that off. Yo, I think it's so funny how Kim hates South Korea so much and what it stands for, but like he'll literally have versions of like every single South Korean product in North Korea.
Korean phone. And yeah, this is different to South Korea's Samsung, which translates to 3 stars. This is Samtaesung, which translates to 3 huge stars. You're going to be seeing a lot of this whole my dad could.
I didn't even know that. So you have to up it a little bit.
Really beat up your dad energy. But that's because convincing North Koreans that they are superior to South Koreans, that they are morally purer and militarily stronger, is about the most effective way of keeping them loyal to the government. And it's pretty clear when you look at these phones that the smartphone is playing a big part in that. I can actually show you this right now by trying to type on these phones. So if I write Namhan, this means South Korea. The second that I hit the spacebar, that gets autocorrected to puppet state. It is bonkers seeing censorship this explicit happening.
I mean, the people see it though, right? They know it. I feel like I would just find that kind of funny. I'd be like, yo, what the f? I can't type South Korea. Is there no way around it? Like, no matter what, if you want to type in South Korea, it's just purely puppet state. Yo, it's so ironic too, considering like it's North Korea saying it's a puppet state. Hey guys, Tom NFG here. You know, only half of you guys are subscribed and even less of you guys have noties on. I hate to be a burden, but you know, I really appreciate it if you hit that sub button and the little bell next to it, you know. It doesn't take long. I know you can get mixed up in the algorithm and everything. But yeah, also tune into the streams, you know. We have a lot of fun over there, I'm telling you. We have a lot of parties going on over there. Yeah, that's it, bye. Damn.
Real time in front of my eyes. You physically cannot send the word Namhan even if you try, which shows just how committed North Korea's government is to sustaining its narrative that South Korea is this inferior, less individual country that just blindly follows whatever the US asks them to. Other ways of wording it, like Republic of Korea, that doesn't even get corrected. That just turns...
I mean, shit, South Korea does get cucked by the US a lot, but it is a mutual beneficial, like, relationship overall. But I mean, if you were to ask, I would say 100% of the world, where would you rather live? A country where, like, sometimes it gets exploited by another country versus a country run by a fucking dictator or leadership that half the population is starving? I think most people would choose the latter and pick South Korea.
Straight into asterisks, kind of like you're a child and you just tried to make your Club Penguin username a swear word. And you can actually see the censorship becoming more invasive as time is going on. Because if we use this Heian phone, which came a few months before, this one lets you write North Korea as North Korea, but the Samtaesung doesn't even let you do that. The only way that you're allowed to refer to North Korea now is Joseon, the traditional name for the Korean kingdom, and then South Korea, almost as if they're belonging to them, as South Joseon. But it gets worse, because Daily NK News, the guys who actually secured these phones in the first place, and whose basement I'm sitting in right now, they've probed around and found all sorts of extra oddities in the software. Like how, if you type Kim Jong-un, the name of the current leader, into any app,
it's gonna say GOAT, absolute GOAT, the great God, supreme leader that never poops, never sleeps, God.
Make the text bold the second you finish the word. Or how all sorts of South Korean slang is just subtly corrected to the more proper North Korean approved way of saying the same thing. Presumably because a lot of this slang originates in some capacity from South Korean media, and the North doesn't want their population to even indirectly experience that. But probably the single
I was about to say, how would they even know these things? I think there they have genes banned, if I'm not wrong, because, you know, they think it's like American and Western country influence. How the f would the people even know it's an influence if they're never gonna see those countries and they can never leave? Not to mention, if I'm not wrong, North Koreans, they can visit China and stuff, right? In China, they wear jeans, so like, let me search out where they can visit. So they can visit China, Russia, and Southeast Asian nations. Yeah, so does it matter? Also, they gotta be scared like their citizens are gonna get like crazy propaganda there. I don't know, in China, do they allow like Chinese citizens to shit on North Korea? Let me search that up too. China does not permit open criticism of North Korea through its state-controlled media and has historically blocked international efforts to hold North Korea. Let me put Russia. No, Russia does not allow criticism of North Korea. In fact, Russia strengthened its alliance with North Korea, even using its UN vote to block efforts to enforce sanctions against Pyongyang. Oh, damn. So they got this shit really planned out. Whew. That fat he pretty smart, bro. But no matter what, there has to be like little ways they learn about shit eventually. Like even seeing in China, they can't live in China. But dude, if I'm there, bro, I'm like, nigga, this is way better. Then again, you can't travel from North Korea or escape North Korea to China. You just get deported back. The best chance they have is like seeing some South Korean shows and some TV shows, and they're like, hold up, it's not that bad. Wait, was I tricked? I assume that's probably the most way North Korean citizens do learn about like the propaganda, like just going to other countries and just seeing the little things like, damn, you know, maybe we're not the best nation. Seeing all this shit in this country, bro. All this Chinese high-tech subway stations everywhere, ones on monorails and everything. I would be like, damn, bro, we are not the best.
Craziest example of this is if we type oppa. This is a common South Korean expression that can be used to mean either older brother or in slang terms, boyfriend.
이거 좀 따주세요, 오빠.
Which in itself does raise a few questions. On these North Korean phones though, it corrects the word to comrade, accompanied by a warning. This word can only be used to describe
What? Nah, warnings is crazy, bro.
your siblings. Imagine getting a warning for attempting to type a slang word.
What even happens? Is it like 3 strikes and then they just take your phone and then take your whole family and execute them? They come to you like,
You have broken the 3 violations by typing boyfriend in South Korean slang. Execution.
That's moderation on a level that I have never experienced before. But I would say even more significant than autocorrect, the biggest factor in controlling information going in and out of North Korea, and the main reason that the country is still this cryptic bubble and we barely know these phones even exist, is the internet situation. Or really, the lack of one. Look at this. On the Haeyang phone, you can swipe down from the top and you see your control panel that looks basically the same as every other Androids. And there's even a Wi-Fi button there, but when you press it, absolutely nothing happens. Weird, but
nah, they disabled it, bro. It doesn't even matter because there's no Wi-Fi signals nearby. I mean, I assume they do it so like spies can't come in and like tap into the North Koreans' phones and stuff and like try to warn them or tell them about like all the propaganda and shit. But bro, the fact that they still add it, like, why not just completely fucking remove it? I'd just be like, what is Wi-Fi? I'd be so lost if I was looking at it.
go into settings to click on Wi-Fi directly, but you can't. And they've actually gone a step further with this more recent Samtaesang, because you go into the quick settings, there isn't even a Wi-Fi icon at all.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want you to
That's what I
even
would
consider
suspect.
that the feature could be as accessible as that. The only way to get something that even resembles Wi-Fi is this. It's called Mirai, and it needs
the
so
hell?
many details from you, including your government ID and an authenticated North Korean physical SIM card, that it's pretty safe to assume everything you do while using it can be traced right back to you.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
even with all of that, this still doesn't get you onto the internet.
I mean, with every new product that Kim releases to like North Korea, it's already been fully vetted and gone through they can't get propaganda. Like citizens cannot get propaganda with this shit. I'm assuming they did the same thing with like computers when they first started adding them to North Korea. They had to make sure, even like spies trying to like warn them, maybe from like other countries and shit, trying to warn them and tell them like, you know, your country's like fucking up in a dictatorship.
There's actually no way for a North Korean citizen to do that. All this can get you is access to a highly curated North Korean intranet, where you can look at specifically government-approved TV, news, propaganda, and apps. More on that in a bit, but the key thing to know for now is it doesn't look like it would be a great experience. The app itself tells you to expect speeds between 2 and 33 meg.
Yo, and they probably said this is the best shit of all time, bro. 2 megabytes in 2025, about to be 2026.
Megabits per second, less than a 14th of the speeds that South Koreans are getting on their public Wi-Fi. I imagine the way that North Korea's leaders are seeing this is...
First of all, wait, did that say 406? Damn! Or is this their internet? It says they have public Wi-Fi networks, 463 megs. South Korea's f***ing ahead as fuck. God damn, bro. Yo, in the US on McDonald's Wi-Fi, you'll be lucky to get like maybe like 2 megabytes or some shit. It'd be a little bit higher than the North Korean one. You'll get like 10 megabytes.
I imagine the way that North Korea's leaders are seeing this is they know that the second they give their population access to the open World Wide Web, it's game over for being able to control the way they act and think. But then at the same time, they can't give the people nothing if they're trying to convince them that their country is truly superior to all others. Hence, this careful substitution of traditional Wi-Fi features for this highly traceable Wi-Fi equivalent that reinforces national pride as opposed to diluting it. But those speeds are so dated. And to be honest, everything about using both of these phones feels dated. Like, it's pretty sad that this Samtae is one of their modern flagship phones.
Yeah.
It was only released recently in 2023 in North Korea. It was priced...
Bro, they could have got a better one, for sure. Like, it seemed like some Temu app phone somebody buys here for like $10.
pretty close to $1,000, but it looks like a mid-range Huawei phone from 2021. Actually, let me be clear. It really looks like a mid-range Huawei phone
it's a
from
copy?
2021. I'm almost getting deja vu looking at it. The way the camera module has an identical style and position. The way the body and the screen curves around in a seemingly identical way. Even this incredibly...
Yeah, I suspected they did that. They just took another product that was like already working. They just like really edited it so like certain things couldn't work. Like you can't use the Wi-Fi or anything. Has to always glaze Kim.
unique Huawei style cutout
I'm
around
surprised Kim didn't make it so like every phone has his face as the background.
the buttons, and this red line in the middle of the power key is the same. Plus, for security reasons, I've got to keep the IMEI number hidden. But when we traced it back, it does look like this phone was manufactured in China, just like Huawei phones. So I think there's two possible explanations. Either this phone was actually secretly made by Huawei themselves and supplied to North Korea for them to add their software layer, or Samtae just decided, we like the look of that one, let's copy it. Because you're about to see this yourselves, but so much of the content on these phones is copied content already. Why not the phone design too? But also that, unlike the Huawei that this looks so similar to, this phone does have a thicker bezel and a notch, this extremely tasteless font on show throughout the whole user interface. And then
I'm surprised they have an English setting on it. Did it have to get edited? Because language settings is like, that's something they could remove. Wouldn't they think that'd be like foreign influence or something? Because I know for a fact they don't be learning English there. Like they don't give a about that.
Only form of branding on the camera is a feebly written 64 megapixel that gives me absolutely zero reassurance it's going to be a good experience. And it is not. On the Haeyang phone, we're just getting extremely poor, grainy image quality all around. And even though there are 3 cameras on the back of this phone, there is still no ultra-wide and no zoom. So both extra cameras are just useless macro and depth cameras. A trend that, globally speaking, started to die out pretty fast after 2020. And so the idea that this thing released in 2023 with that kind of setup.
Oh yeah, he really gave them the shitty ass version, bro. Not only that's a ban too for them. I'm imagining, I know for a fact they don't get paid a lot, if anything. Oh my god, I'd be so pissed getting this shit. But if this is the only thing I could get, like, have to rock with it, you know, I'd probably treat it like my baby. It's like how I treated like 10 years ago, my old ass droid I had. I used to love that shit, bro. I used to learn how to edit things, make it faster, clear the files to clear space. I used to love that shit. And eventually I upgraded it and I look at it now, I'm like, damn, bro, I was prehistoric times using that Android.
Shows the
even for like
that we're
2015, that shit was
and then on the
times.
flagship Samtae, the camera is super buggy. We couldn't even get it to flip around to the rear cameras. And it's also got this really unusual watermark plastered over it, which when we reverse, it spells out, please contact Heinetron. Now, I did a little digging and turns out Heinetron is a small, private, China-based company who makes a lot of smartphone parts. So it kind of looks here like they've supplied some of the bits for this phone, but then North Korean Samtae has just like not paid their license fee or something. Regardless though of whether this phone is a secret Huawei collab or just a blatant ripoff, it doesn't change the fact that it is terrible value when you consider the global market. But that makes a lot of sense. With North Korea, we are talking about a very unusual market that has almost no competitive pressure. There's almost no incentive to give people cutting edge tech. And if anything, the more dated the tech, the simpler it is, and therefore the easier it is going to be to control. That would also explain why the
Yeah, that's probably why they don't want like a bunch of new shit now, and they just rely on old shit. Like the reason why I'm not scared, I mean, obviously I'm not scared off the notion of North Korea trying to like go to war with the US because they fucking lose in like 2 days. Like I'm not gonna lie, the whole country will get wiped out. All of their tech as well, all of their planes are like World War II planes. Like they're just old as they don't have like new fighter jets or anything. That's why Kim is always flexing his nukes and stuff. They have tanks, which tanks could always be like timeless, yeah. But like he's literally always flexing his nukes. He knows he got nothing else, bro. Yo, we got a flying Dorito, all right? Bro, a flying Dorito flies over North Korea, GG's. Get 3 of them bitches, the whole country's done. My tax dollars will finally go to use, bro. They're gonna find out what we don't get free healthcare or have good infrastructure here. Good travel infrastructure.
Samsung is still running Android 10 with seemingly no ability to update beyond that, and why Samsung is stuck on Android 11, making it 5 years worth of updates behind current Android. Let me show you what I mean by all this copied stuff. So there is an app literally here with a Microsoft Word logo. You open it up and it gives you the option for Excel, PowerPoint, and Word, but I can assure you what you are getting here are not Microsoft apps, not even close in functionality. I would actually go as far as to say that at least 50% of the icons that you see on these phones are stripped directly from other companies, like File Manager and Compass. Those are basically Huawei icons that are very slightly reskinned. Maps is an almost one-to-one of the Google Maps icon.
Yeah.
This random game uses...
I'm surprised they gave them games and fun. I don't know, usually Kim just wants his citizens to suffer, never have any fun.
It's the same icon as the Mobi Office work application. But let's just zoom out for a second. Even the official Samsung wallpaper, I'm pretty sure they have literally just downloaded the wallpaper from an Honor phone and then added an 8 to it. And then if I go over here to the About Phone section, I recognize that image. That image is actually stripped straight from the promo material of the completely different looking Huawei Mate 30 Pro phone from years ago. And yet it is serving as the post.
I will say about the Huawei phones, they look pretty nice. I know they're like banned in the US now because like they know it'd just be too over competitive. Like I'm not gonna lie, because they used to sell them here up until like 2019, I think, and then they got banned because the US are like spying, which yeah, sure. All right, let's be real. Let's be real, but I've heard their cameras are like fucking crazy. Like they have like insane cameras, but like they have like the triple screen fold ones and shit. They just look like pretty cool. Would I use it still? No, probably not.
For the Samsung 8, which makes me side with the theory that this is a copy of Huawei as opposed to made by Huawei. Because if it was made by Huawei, surely the company would use an image that at least matched the design of the phone. There's a whole library of informational videos.
They probably don't want to be like, what should I say, bashed by like other countries for using it. Even like countries that are allied with them, like countries that China's allied with, do not like North Korea still. Like it's a very little amount of countries that like North Korea. Like literally just China, Russia. Like all the other countries don't like them.
That you can buy as part of North Korea's intranet. Like this one, all about the football club Arsenal. And on the face of it, you're like, oh, this is really premium, how professionally produced. But look a little closer and you can see this is actually ripped straight from an Amazon Prime series. It's just instead of Stay in the Game, it's titled Sweat for the Win. And it's got the logo of a North Korean company plastered across the entire...
I'm surprised they know what black people look like. They had a black person.
The length of it. But there is literally no way that this North Korean company could have bought the license to sell this content, since there are literally sanctions on US companies like Amazon for collaborating with them. There's games too, tons of them, but I just want to show you this football game for a second. It opens with bizarrely the same logo that we just saw on the Amazon Prime show, so it seems like this is some sort of large-scale media redistribution brand who's taking international content and making it North Korea compliant. Then we see the boot up screen with the game's title being International Soccer League 2.0, which is just so interesting because this shot of Messi's face, I reverse image searched it, is not from International Soccer League 2.0, but instead a screen grab from a trailer of Japanese-made Pro Evolution Soccer. The other thing that I think is
no, they're literally just stealing shit from countries they hate, or the government, man.
Absolutely fascinating about this football game is the Asian players are missing. Like, you can select the team, Tottenham Hotspur, with all the correct roster as of 2022 when the game was launched, but with the only South Korean member of that team, Son Heung-min, not present. They just chopped him. Again, presumably to not show North Koreans that South Koreans have proper international athletic careers. In fact, just the general situation with apps in North Korea is...
Bro, I wouldn't even think of something like that, though. Like, would they even know who this dude is? Like, would they know he's a South Korean? Couldn't they have just lied and said he's North Korean? It's just doing too much.
So different to what you and I are used to. The first thing that jumps out is there's just so many of them. Like, have you ever seen this many apps pre-installed on a smartphone? Yeah. This right here is a medicine app, but a medicine app where you can order whatever you might need for home delivery. There's maps.
The reason why they're adding all this shit is because they know people aren't gonna be able to download like a lot of apps. It's only gonna be North Korean apps you can download extra. So they're putting everything as much as possible in here just to make sure people feel like good with the purchase.
With navigation too, although fascinatingly, it doesn't show a clear dividing line between North and South Korea, and also doesn't let you zoom any further out than the country itself.
Literally
it's
North
a little
Korea.
bit more advanced than I was expecting in some ways too. Like, there's a store here where you can buy things like smartwatches and TVs, all using an electronic wallet, and it's part of the intranet. Okay. It's also on this phone. Really surprising to see. If we look past the logo that is very clearly just an NBC ripoff, this is online gambling, with even the option for sports betting, as well as just a pretty hefty catalog of video content.
If people got extra money there to be gambling, man.
That you can download onto the phones. But you can also see that the North Korean government's influence permeates every layer of this, even the types of movies available. I couldn't find one from the US or South Korea, but Russian movies? Loads of them. Remember, the criteria here is not which movies does the North Korean population like the most, it's which movies does the regime want the population to watch. And so it makes sense that it's all filled with Russian content, since Russia is one of North Korea's closest political allies. And Russian ideologies line up very closely to North Korean ones. There's also, weirdly, a bunch of Indian movies, including ones that I've seen before, like Three Idiots. The link between North Korea and India isn't as clear-cut, but the guys from Daily NK have a theory that Indian culture hits a bit of a sweet spot. It's kind of different enough to seem exotic and interesting to North Koreans, but while still not posing a threat to their culture in the way that Western content does. And then there's just a whole load of apps that feel not just guided by the government, but
Yo, imagine somebody snuck on like the Interview movie. Another one where they made fun of Kim Jong-un and he blew up. Somebody will get executed for putting that on there.
Directly requested by them. Like, this one is entirely biographies of past and current North Korean rulers. Something else I've never seen before is a general guidance app, which is split into 4 categories: laws, regulations, a legal dictionary, and then common sense, which really is exactly what it sounds like. It's so strange. It's like, how should we legally understand the family? Who are relatives? Can't relatives marry? I wonder if the idea is giving every single person the same set of ideologies and learnings, and even there's like a humor section here, so that they effectively become the same person, to squash individuality. There's even a cooking app which guides you through how to make traditional North Korean cuisine. And all of these more official looking apps, they open by first showing you a famous quote from one of their leaders, which so feels like something you'd see on the loading screen of a dystopian video game, but this is real life. And then there's also just a ton of games to play. Why is this one booting up with the Delta Airlines logo? Most of them feel pretty simple, with a big emphasis on offline play, which is true for the whole phone experience. It's actually wild.
I feel like I would be lit there, bro. If I just had pure games, I'd be a fucking gamer, man. Because I got nothing else to do, especially if I'm a kid. I got nothing else to do other than probably misery my whole life after I finish school.
How much we've been able to show and do, and that's all no doubt because the internet situation in North Korea is so sketchy. So crazy amount of stuff on both of these phones. But there's a very good reason for that. See, getting new apps is not as easy for North Koreans as it is for us. They have an app store. You can download apps on your own, but, and I can't actually quite wrap my head around how this is the reality, you can't open those apps until you've taken your phone to an in-person store where they will authorize them for use and download the necessary back-end data for them to function. And believe it or not, there's an extra wrinkle that comes with this. Your apps in North Korea, expire. So this one here is telling me
What?
it's run out and is basically asking if I want to pay for 6 months or for 12 months for a bit of a discount.
Yo, there's no way. And bro, they talk about American capitalism is greedy, bruh. Man, what the fuck? I can't even fathom this. Like, and this isn't even a subscription-based type of app where you need to pay. What even is this? Is this like the news app he was showing, I think? Bro, that's actually so insane. You can't enjoy free shit.
Effectively making every app a paid subscription, even ones you would not expect to be, like the laws of North Korea. Bearing in mind, North Korea is one of the poorest countries in the world, with its national income per person being just 3.4% of that of South Koreans. This feels like a pretty tough pill to swallow. I think it's likely that just the concept of being able to
So what's the point of releasing it if nobody there is going to be able to afford it? Like, you're not going to be able to make profits or anything. I'm so lost.
sustain a large library of apps is a luxury that very few will be able to afford. And that's assuming you can even afford the phone in the first place. Now, even if you did find a way to sideload your apps without going to a physical store for that authorization, or if you found a way to get around the app expiration system, which we realize you could temporarily do just by changing the date on your phone to an earlier one, there's a very important reason
Probably get arrested.
and why you might not want to try that in North Korea. And it's called Red Flag. Red Flag is an underlying layer of surveillance software that appears on all phones sold in North Korea. We know it exists because we can see the effects of it, and I'm told older versions used to be really easy to see and get around, but in these newer phones, Red Flag is now baked into the lowest level of the Android software, making it almost untraceable and impenetrable. Plus, it blocks off developer settings, which you can normally unlock by tapping this build number several times, meaning that it stops you figuring out what is really going on behind the scenes. But the idea of Red Flag is to persistently make sure that what you're doing on your phone is legitimate. So every file, every app, every photo that you take has a digital signature, a record that signals to the phone where that file originated from. Red Flag makes sure that the only files or apps that can be opened on these phones are either ones with the North Korean government signature or a self-signature, which is files that originate from the phone itself, like photos from your camera. Anything else originating from anyone else won't have an approved signature, and so will not open. It'll just get automatically deleted by the software when it's sent to one of these phones. Now, that doesn't seem to have stopped people from trying to get unauthorized content to work. There was an extensive report from Martin Williams and Niklaus Scheiss, which goes into how some would try to skirt the system by opening foreign files via the phone's web browser. But now that the signature checks are happening on a deeper device level, it can pick those up.
But like, even then, the average North Korean citizen is not gonna be able to know to do that, like all of that. A majority wouldn't even do it because they wouldn't even like care about the other countries, and they say it's just like fake, or their version of fake news, whatever they believe.
It doesn't work. Or there was a Daily NK report last year that mentioned while North Koreans couldn't store outside videos on their phones, they could insert SD cards containing the material into their phones instead. However, there is one final, very sinister surveillance feature clearly designed to deter any attempts at this. These devices, both of them, will take periodic screenshots as you're using them. You don't see these screenshots being taken in the same way that you'd expect to, but you know it's happening because I can actually show you the folder where they're being stored. I can see this has actually been taking screenshots today while I've been recording this video. The frequency of the shots seems to vary, but it's many times per day. And the most alarming part of it is all you can do is look. You can't click on them, you can't check them, you can't delete them. Now, whether the phones are sending those grabs over the intranet to the government continuously, or if they're just used when an official has doubts about you and wants to specifically confirm.
Yeah, I think that's probably too high tech advanced for them for it to like send it directly to the government. It's probably if they suspect you of something, they take your phone, they scan it in easily, go through, an official goes through all the screenshots.
Their suspicions, it's anyone's guess. But would you want to risk it in North Korea? Based on accounts from people who've escaped, this is a country which, since at least 2020, has had a law that spells out distributing and even just watching South Korean entertainment is punishable by death. People who distribute this content are tried alongside drug criminals.
That's
it's considered
ridiculous.
the same tier of crime, which says a lot about the priorities of the regime. So it really feels like every part of these devices, from the words you're allowed to type to the videos you're allowed to watch, are designed to reinforce a single narrative. North Korea is superior, foreign influence is dangerous, and everything you do is being watched. It makes me very grateful for how easy tech is made for the rest of us.
Yeah, that was a good video. I'm gonna get access to one of those and I'll let y'all know how it is. I don't know how I'm gonna get access, but I'll find out a way. Man, that's just so crazy though. Imagine that's your life, man. Whenever I see a video about North Korea, I just end up feeling so grateful. Bro, you could be born in probably like, you know, probably like 99% of other countries and you feel grateful. But it's just so crazy, bro, like seeing all this and then being in America with all of our freedoms and what we get, and like that's what they gotta live, man. And they completely used to it. They're just like, whatever. Anyways, yeah, if you're watching on a 2, make sure to join the Discord and watch the streams.
Subscribe to Tommy and FG.